Hello, everybody. Welcome to Steve Couper's podcast for aspiring real estate investors and industry subject matter experts. In this episode, I am very, very excited because I've got the pleasure of introducing the founder and CEO of SHADGIE. Shadgie Jean works with a service-based entrepreneurs to systemize their operations using AI automation. I'm excited to learn all about what Shadgie has to say, but before we go there, there's a couple of things. I need to make sure that you hit the subscribe button, like this if it appeals to you, and share it with your friends, please, because I welcome that. Now, I'm going to let Saji introduce yourself a bit better than I could. There's a lot more to you. You've been in the industry for a while. We're good friends. We've seen each other go through a few different iterations. AI sounds fascinating. There's so much opportunity here. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Tell us all about it, Seiju. What have you got here?
Well, thank you so much, Steve, for inviting me again to your podcast. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you. For those who don't know me, my name is Shadgie Jean. And yes, in English, people will say Jean, but Shadgie, the H in my name is silent. I oftentimes say Shadgie like Sagittarius. I am the founder, the CEO of Sage IC, and my business is AI transformation agency. The idea behind it is really to help small, medium businesses automate their day to day. We see what's going on out there. I'm there to automate from the beginning till the end and making sure there's a true workflow, but that there's a communication. The goal behind it is really for people to free up their time so that people don't work in their business, so that they don't become an employee of their business, but they work on the business, so they focus on the growth.
Right on. Well, this is like I say, it's very exciting because let's face it, AI is out there. Everybody's conscious of it. Some people are seeing the positive or some the negative. I'm focused on the opportunity, and I think that's what you're going to share with us today. You've got a webinar coming up, I believe.
I do.
Well, what is it that made you want to actually do this and share this with business owners?
Yes, definitely. The first thing that I wanted to start with that webinar is making people understand what exactly is AI. We've been talking about AI for a couple of years now. I think in the past few months, it's been even more intense. We do know that it's artificial intelligence. Sorry, I was going the French way, the other way around. Artificial intelligence. But one thing that I think a lot of people are not understanding is what does it do exactly? We know that we can do research. It's a little bit deeper than Google used to do, and now Google has Gemini as well. But it's really making people understand what exactly is AI, how can it change their day to day, and making sure that they understand from that moment on where can it elevate their business.
So there's this is good because I think we're right at the right point in the evolution of AI for everybody to start getting their head wrapped around that. So that's perfect. So,
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of folks think they're going to lose their jobs or it's going to replace jobs. It's going to displace people. But I think that, like I say, there's opportunity, and you probably are closer to this. Why don't you tell us your thoughts on this?
Yes. So we hear it everywhere. AI will replace us. We were going to lose our jobs. It's the fear mongering of the news. I won't deny it. There is a lot of position that will probably be replaced by AI because of how effective some of those tools are getting. There is a time where when technology used to come, it used to take a couple of decades or a decade, maybe 5, 10 years before you see a real change. We remember the internet boom. Now with AI, it's a question of months, the way that the tools are evolving. One of the things that I tell people is that it's not just using it, it's understanding how far can you do in order to use it. So, for instance, a lot of people think of AI, they think of ChatGPT, right? The way that people will use ChatGPT is they will simply prompt it the way that they use Google. Tell me how to do this. Tell me where to find this. I'm feeling this way. What would you advise to me? However, these tools are there to really be present in somebody's day to day to create a whole set of automation. So in the AI world, there's different kind of tools, and that I can go a little bit deeper with you. But once you understand what those tools can do, the idea behind it is how can I take these tools and bring it into my day-to-day, my work life, if you're an entrepreneur or even an employee or in the corporate world or in any kind of industry, and use those tools to elevate my work abilities because the world will belong to those that can take these tools and elevate it. We know what happened when the typing machine came out. It was no longer about writing by hand. It's like the women that understood how to type were the ones that were able to have the job. So let's just go back in time and look at history and who are the people that were able to take technology, move forward with it in order to elevate themselves.
Mm. It's interesting, isn't it? So doing more is really the opportunity here, expanding what we can do with this technology. I think it's going to be cool. So tell us, what about those trades and business owners? Who's running everything alone? How are they going to be able to embrace this and do this with maybe no admin staff? I mean, there's a lot of work that we do as real estate investors that you're sort of a solopreneur. You're doing it all yourself, unless you're very fortunate. But
Yes,
now AI is there. How can we leverage this?
yes, and that's a great question. The first thing that you want to think about is that AI is actually moving so fast that right now we have what we call AI agent. But before I even talk about the AI agent, is that you have to understand the first thing is that it's not going to um, replace, like, for instance, somebody in the trade. AI right now is not at the point, it's like a software, right? It's not at the point where it's going to take the wrench and making sure to do the work that takes years to learn. We're not there yet. But it will do the things that slows you down, mainly the admin stuff, like writing email, turning your notes into a client follow-up or report. How do you follow up on quotes without letting things fall through the crack? So think of these little like having like a set of extra hands that are there to take all of the paperwork side of the business, all of the admin stuff, but it doesn't necessarily replace you. And for those business owners that already have a team, think about it as it's not there to replace your team. It's there to making sure that your team that are spending their time doing either the repetitive task or the $5 an hour task, if they're paid like 25 to $30 an hour, well, let's focus on the task that allows them to push the business. Just like the same business owner that are spending so much time doing admin work after work, right? Stay there until 7, 8, 9 while everybody's gone because you want your business to keep on rolling. You're gonna have to understand that you have to take it as a way where you say, I am no longer an employee of my business, but I'm actually a CEO and the owner of the business. So it's really there to free up whatever time or work that you need to free up in order to focus on what really makes you make money.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, I've visited the Nissan and the Toyota factories in Japan and had a chance to see how they were using artificial like robots and automation there. And that's going back several years. So the industry's evolved tremendously from this. So what they were doing back there was taking repetitive tasks or very heavy tasks that could cause human damage or people get hurt, and they were using the robots to help them with that so that they
Mhm.
use their workforce to focus on improving other areas. And I think this is very similar, right?
Exactly.
Using AI in the same regard. Yeah. So let's talk about your webinar. I'm excited about that. That's what pulled us together again for this conversation. Let's hear more about it.
Yes, definitely. So the first thing that I want to start when it comes to the webinar is really diving into what really is AI and actually how can it fit for your business. Not just the main, just the few points and example I gave, but what are the different tools? I'm not there to talk the different tech jargon. That's not the role of the webinar. I won't be there to do a demo and walk you through how and share like a software demo. That is not what I'll be doing. But what I'll be doing is that, and I want people to really know what they can expect, is that it's going to be a whole interactive session. Like, think about it, 60 minutes where it's really a real conversation. I want to make sure that people understand what AI actually really is, how the different tools compare, and actually how can it apply for your business, the real problems, and how can you use it to solve some of those problems, right? And by the end of, I want everybody to know at least one thing that they can use and change, like meaning that most people do use ChatGPT, but there are other tools. How can I use these other tools to elevate? How can I make the difference between what ChatGPT is? Like, for instance, there's another tool called Claude. What's the difference between ChatGPT and Claude, and what is it good for? And if there are tools that are for industry specific, how can I make sure that there's a connection among these tools? The other thing is that I'll have my co-host Rishi Gupta. The name of his company is 25 Terawatts from the UK. He's going to be joining me, and between the two of us, we'll discuss how business transformation side and operational side can be elevated from AI. And Rishi is really like somebody that tends to have a more of a face-to-face approach when it comes to his client. He starts with discovery, focusing deeply on like understanding what are the different business problems, like the world of cold AI outreach. How does it work? Can you use AI for that? And the organic human first approach to turn this all into conversation and intelligence. So that's something that's really good because he's been like published in machinery as well as manufacturing magazine, and he has spoken on several podcasts as well. So I'm so excited to be talking with him and have that conversation with everybody that will be present. So we'll be talking about AI and what is exactly AI and how can I bring it into my business.
Yeah, how to best leverage it. There's a lot of tools out there, like we said, and um, the which works best for which application. It'd be great to have some insight and have some guidance in all of this. One of the other topics that comes up all the time I hear about is cybersecurity. Now, maybe more in my industry in aviation than in others, but tell me your thoughts on this. Is that going to be one of the topics covered in the webinar?
For that first webinar, I think I won't dive in too much into cybersecurity, but I'll be diving a little bit into the privacy and security because I think that's something people are really worried about, and I believe that's what you meant by cybersecurity. Yes, I'll be diving into it because there's so many new tools that are coming, but how safe are they? There's like the excitement that we hear on social media. You'll have like the different tool called OpenClaw. We've heard about OpenClaw, and for some people have, some people haven't. It's a great tool from what I'm hearing. I'm not diving in. There's too much risk for now. It's too open for fair. So I'd rather not touch that because it's like the tool doesn't have any safeguard, railguard inside of it. So for me, like that's something that I do think it's important to discuss and not be attracted and jumping too much into the shiny object syndrome before using those tools, take a step back, think about it. And yes, that's something, some best practices I think could be important to discuss.
Sure, I think that'd be interesting. I mean, we're all a bit cautious as we start new things, and this would be one of them for sure. Although I got to say, I'm diving headlong into trying to learn how to leverage Chat GPT at least. We'll see what else it is present as options. So, is there a way that you're going to be talking about maybe that'll help us take the AI tool and our CRM and optimize the combination? Is that something that's in the future here?
I think in the future we can talk about the different integration. There are integration that can be done. Some it could be a little bit technical. I want to step away from the technical part because I think there's a lot of people that subscribe already to register to the webinar that may not be as tech savvy. And starting talking about integration, I'm gonna lose that. But it is important to know that there are ways to using it in a way to write emails or follow up on some of the tasks and using some of the information you have on your CRM in order to leverage it. I know a lot of people are using like Go High Level, some people are using HubSpot, some people are using Salesforce. So it's really a question of understanding like how do I take these AI tool and leverage what I already have, like where all my contacts are, and then I can leverage them to making sure that things are not falling through the cracks.
That's the one. Make sure things don't fall through the cracks.
Mhm.
I think we've all experienced that.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so Saji, you know, the last time we talked, you were heavily involved in CRMs. Now you're switching gears into AI. Tell me more about why. What is it that has appealed to you in this field that you're wanting to explore, and what do you hope to see as the future? Where is it going to take you, and what are you going to look like a year from now, 5 years from now? Where's this going?
That's a great question. One of the reasons why I started shifting is that my goal was at first, on top of the CRM, was really helping entrepreneur and business owner create a system like from the ground up. Because it's like you start with your CRM when you have a system, and then as you move up, what are your marketing processes? What are you using? What are the different technology? How do you connect it? And some of this technology. The thing that I started hearing is that I'm starting to see is that although the system, a lot of my customers used to set up systems and I would assist them in doing so, there was nobody to take care of it and follow up on some of the things, and things would still fall to the crack. And when AI became a big conversation, one thing is that I did join a program, a community that really helped me understand, and I have a coach like for my agent, my transformation agency, that really breaks down how to approach these conversations, because these conversations are not just about understanding your system. The one thing people have to understand is that you cannot use AI as a band-aid. If you have no system, incorporating just an AI tool will not solve your issue. You really have to have a foundation. And I think that's when I realized that some people had the foundation, but they had no automation. What was happening because of that, the manual work was still there, and it was just adding more tools for them to add to it. When AI came in, one thing I realized is that you could take that technology, automate everything, and make sure that you have a business that runs smoothly and that you have a little bit less hands-on, but it also liberates time for the rest of the team to focus on what really works on growth. And especially like that's the one thing for sure I always say, business owner not becoming employees of their businesses, but working on the business instead of being working in the business.
Yeah, wouldn't that be sweet? And I think there's a parallel that covers what you're saying with no process, there can be no Kaizen or no continuous improvement, right? It's important to understand that process and then focus on improving it. So very,
Exactly.
very well.
And just like you asked me, like, where do I see myself a year from now? A year from now, that the idea is really to be sure that I'm here to help entrepreneur. Like, I'm an entrepreneur myself. And I had to take a step back when I was building my business and be like, how do I automate everything and not doing so much? Because I was I'm working 9 to 5. I'm building a business, but then I'm like, I'm only so many people. Yes, I have a team, I have developers, I have people that are helping me in terms of assistance. But if I'm doing all of this, I'm just delegating jobs and I'm spending too much time in this admin stuff. The first thing was to liberate myself. Once I was able to liberate myself, I was able to take a step back and see, you know what? Now I can see myself in the future helping these entrepreneurs get to their goal, because it will come a time where your competitors will be using AI. Where will you be when that
Where
happens?
will you be? Exactly. Yes, I think so. I think it's very important that way. I had another question that popped into my mind, and um, that disappeared.
I interrupted you, sorry.
No, 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 don't be. But I think I do know what it was about. It's about authenticity. I think this is something what people struggle with. If we lean too hard into AI to communicate our message, how can we make sure it's our message that we're communicating and not something that sounds or looks like it was generated by an automation? How do you maintain?
That is such an important thing. And I think that's something at first I was struggling with. I felt like it sounded very AI-ish. I mean, French is my first language. So English, yes, I do speak English. I'm fluent in English, but I do know the way I speak and I write. And I would look at these email and I'm like, this is not from me. And I remember I sent a message, an email, and I CC'd my partner Scott, and he's like, "Did AI write this?" Because he knows this is not my way of writing emails. The one thing that I started doing is that instead of actually telling it, write an email to do about this person, I take sometimes my time to have a basis of an email, but I won't lie. I love talking directly to AI instead of typing. I get the lazy aspect of things. And over time, one of the things that I realize is that and I like Claude more than ChatGPT. We'll have that conversation at the webinar. I'll explain to people why. But one thing that I love about Claude is that it's extremely good for writing analysis. And one thing it does ask me, it asks me, are you sure that's what you want? Does that sounds clear? Chat doesn't ask questions. Chat is the type of friend that's so pleasing and that always want to make you happy. If you don't make sure that on your prompt you tell it, make sure you ask me challenging question, you don't get this back. So for me, it was more of a question is that how do I put my own voice, my brand into these AI? Do I let them know or let AI know? And I call my AI Nova. How do I let Nova know that here's how I want to sound. Here's who I am. Here's my business. This is what I do. And from that moment, this is what a prompt look like. I think the one thing that people need to be a little bit more conscious of is like the way they're prompting. AI is not Google. We need to stop giving it the simple and short question that we used to give Google prompting as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I think I've probably um, uh, made that mistake myself, for sure. But it's actually the convenience becomes quite something. And like you say, I like to actually use the microphone feature on my phone, and I'll just talk a message in, and yet at the same time, I have to read it through after it's typed up before
Yes.
hitting send because the
Yes.
errors are still pretty high. And maybe that's because I'm not articulating clearly. So, any last words for us today, Sachi?
Yes, definitely. I think we're moving into a different era right now when it comes to technology. As much as like a lot of people don't want to hear it, AI is here to stay. Now, we know that technology is here to stay. How do we leverage it? Especially everybody is trying to figure out. I feel like even the owners of those businesses are just still figuring out because it surprised them every day how fast the tools are developing. Even they're shocked of how fast it's developing. But while this is happening, don't fall behind. Don't let your competitors be 10 step ahead. You have to understand that it's sometimes good to take a moment, lock yourself in, and say, you know what, I'm going to see what that can do for me, how I'm going to automate my business to save more time, to have more growth. The people that starts this year, by the end of the year, will be 5 years ahead of their competitors. How do we leverage these technology in order to get to that goals? So my last word would be dive in, be careful, don't jump in into all the shiny object because there's going to be a lot of AI tool, but just like during the internet era, there's a lot of things that will come in, but only some of the biggest one will stay. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
right. I think you're right, and it's always moving. Um, so this webinar of yours, you're going to give me a link so I can share it with everybody so they can sign up and
definitely.
join in.
Yes.
And in addition to that, what's the best way for people to reach you?
The best way to reach me is on Instagram. Instagram is Shadgie, Shadgie. My last name is Jean, Jean. You can reach me on Facebook, and my website is www.sageic, so Sage IC, sorry, SAGEIC. I confuse the G and the J all the time because of French, but it's SAGEIC.com, sageic.com. So these are the best way to reach me.
It's been a true pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing this, and I look forward to that webinar. and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve.